I'm Doug, your tech support representative for Atlantic British, and we're going to introduce you to the brake hose and flush kit that we have available for the 06 to 09 Sport, both naturally aspirated and supercharged. The kit's going to include color-coded left and right hand front brake hoses, and then your rear brake hoses. You have body to axle and then axle to caliper. The kit you'll find in this sheet that we have available. You can download this and make copies for your own information. And essentially we have a brake hose and fluid kit, and the kit number is ABP 350SKA, and you'll see it is recommended to be done every 105,000 miles. The hoses do have a rubber component. The rubber does break down over a period of time, and brakes are an important component in your vehicle. You want to keep them working at maximum capacity all the time. So you've seen the kit, and what we're going to do is put this Sport up in the air, and we'll give you a brief rundown on where they're located, and then also a basic idea how to flush the system when you're done. Alright, now that we've shown you our brake hose replacement kit, we're going to run through this and just give you an idea of how the hoses are attached. Basic run through to give you an idea of what you need to do to change these over. Relatively easy. This is the front with the Brembo brakes. This is a relatively long hose, starting up here with simply a flare nut into the hose itself. You have a bracket right here, or actually a retainer that you can pull out with a pair of pliers. These two wires are your wheel speed sensor and your brake pad sensor. Now when you go to do the right side, you're only going to have one wire, which will be wheel speed. This brake pad sensor is only on the left front and the right rear wheels. You're going to see the hose actually makes your turn. And if we look up underneath the upper A-arm, there's a 10mm bolt with a bracket attached to it, which is part of the hose. There's a 90-degree turn in the hose itself. Your hose continues on down. Again, you're going to just pop these lines out of these green retainers. You have another bracket here. Remove 10mm head bolt. That's going to remove that bracket. And again, your two lines, they're an open hole so they can be popped out. And we make it to the back of the caliper, which is a 14mm head bolt with a banjo fitting, and you'll have a copper washer or a copper or aluminum washer on either side of that banjo fitting. So make sure when you reinstall, you've got all dirt and crud and whatever built up there wiped off clean. Make sure you got your washer in place on both sides of the banjo fitting, and you don't need to over tighten this. This is relatively just a snug in fit. Just what we call like a two-finger snug. You seat the bolt, just give it a little tug, and that's enough to hold it in place. So that's your front. You have your bleeders up on top of the caliper. You can have someone either pump the brakes as you're adding fluid to eventually get all the air out of the system. You can also purchase certain vacuum tools that we have available that'll help you assist, so you can do a one-man brake bleed. There's a lot of different products we carry that'll help you bleed these things out, get all the air out of the calipers. Now we're going to go to the backs. Alright, so in the rear you have two hoses. This upper hose, which is going to run from your body side brake line down to the upper control arm. It's this hose right here. And again, you have your slide out retainers that you can just grab with a pair of pliers, work them outside to side, and they'll come right out. Before you take the retainers out, break your nuts loose on both sides. You might even want to shoot a little penetrating oil on them, let it sit for a couple minutes. Generally these come out relatively easy. If you do a lot of off-roading, or you have a lot dirt crud build up in this area, because certain regions do develop more rust than others, put a little penetrating oil on it, let it sit for a couple minutes. Alright, so you've got the upper hose here, and now we'll show you the lower hose. Now here's your lower hose, and again, like the front, this has a banjo fitting with an aluminum or copper washer on both sides of the fitting. You want to make sure they're there and they're clean when you go to reinstall it. Again, you don't need to over tighten this, just a good snug fit will work just fine. On the front of the hose is the same as the upper hose, just simply a bracket with a retainer you pull out with a pair of pliers, and then a nut that you loosen to remove that line. And again, it's just a matter of removal, reinstallation, bleed the system. Again, you'll have your bleeder on the top of the caliper, and from there, once you've bled the system out, you've got all the hoses replaced. Now again, remember, these hoses are a rubber base, which breaks down over a period of time, so that's why there's a recommended mileage interval to change these things over. Brakes are nothing to fool around with. You definitely want them working as well as they can at any given time. It's a good idea to change them over when it's recommended. So when you're ready to do so, just call any of our knowledgeable salesmen at 1-800-533-2210, and thanks for watching.